Greetings, all! Today, we will be examining the uncommon grass steel type Pokemon Ferroseed, the Thorn Seed Pokémon, and its rare evolution Ferrothorn, the Thorn Pod Pokémon. More than a bit menacing to look at, and definitely not something you want to get in the way of, the members of the Ferroseed family are interesting plants that can bring the pain when it comes to being both a wall and an offensive tank in close quarters.
Ferroseed have a thick, egg-shaped gray metal shell made primarily out of iron, with black speckles and stripes that serves as the outer skin. The only feature being seen through the shell being their yellow eyes, which are rimmed with green plant material. The entirety of their body is covered in thick, sharp green spines that are harder than rock and allow them to cling to any surface they so desire with little issue. The evolved form, Ferrothorn, have a similar body form, though they now resemble a squashed ovoid in form, and all but the spikes on the top of their body have changed color to match their metal shell, with black triangle-shaped markings forming near their eyes like fake teeth. In addition, they now possess a series of 3 green barbed thorn pods with green thorns on the underside and silver ones on their upper surface that are attached to their main body by thick strands of connective tissue, and are used much like limbs by them to move around more readily than they can as Ferroseed. The members of the Ferroseed family are unique among plant-based Pokemon in that their outer skin, unlike most types of plants that have a fibrous or woody form, is almost completely metallic in form, their inner flesh covered in a thick armor of iron compounds that serves to protect them against attack. It is uncertain why these shells were developed initially, but it likely may have something to do with the fact that these creatures dominantly live in caverns, caves, and mountainous terrain, where the native life forms tend to be more dangerous and more than capable of otherwise piercing the soft flesh and even bark of other plant-based Pokemon.
Because they dominantly live in areas where sunlight is not always plentiful, these plants have biologically given up the capacity to utilize photosynthesis as their primary means of producing energy. Instead, these creatures are able to directly absorb the nutrients that they need to survive straight from surrounding rocks and soil.
They can do this because their bodies are covered in a series of plant-like metallic barbs with a plant tissue core that can be used to release a weak acid that dissolves rock, making it possible for them to slurp up the melted rock and absorb the minerals contained in them instantly. This is also what allows them to continuously regenerate their metal shells, should they be significantly damaged. Since their outer shell tends to be quite heavy, these creatures cannot move very fast and in general do not have access to much in the way of special power to fight with, forcing them to use their bodies as the main instrument of their wrath, but given their physical form, this really puts them at a severe disadvantage. Moreover, this ties directly into their abilities, as the metallic spines that adorn the form of these plants makes direct contact with them extremely painful, granting them the Iron Barbs ability as their only base ability, an annoying power that deals damage to their opponents in battle equal to 12.5% of their maximum HP every time they make direct contact with these creatures. Though it is noted that in the case of Ferrothorn, they might be a bit skittish towards others and more likely to take notice of their offenses in search for something to be afraid of, granting them the Anticipation ability as a hidden ability. As far as their stats are concerned, and looking at Ferrothorn, it can definitely be said that they are not the most gifted when it comes to using special attacks or moving around very quickly as a result of their massive forms and limited movement capabilities, and the stamina is generally only okay. So the base special attack and speed stats are below average for a fully evolved grass and steel type Pokemon, and the base HP stat is about average for a fully evolved steel type Pokemon. On the other hand though, they can still hit decently hard with their attacks and are well armored against attack, so the base attack stat is about average for a fully evolved grass type Pokemon, and the base defense and special defense stats are above average for a fully evolved Pokemon of both of their types.
As such, while they might not have speed and terrific offense on their side, these creatures can still prove to be powerful defensive fighters to have to face, and definitely not something you want to come up against without a bit of heat on your side.
Because of their general lack of limbs for locomotion, Ferroseed have to roll around by adjusting the connective tissue inside of their shells to create a spring of movement in the direction they want to roll. Not surprisingly, this process is very slow, and therefore these creatures move very slowly from one place to another. This doesn't seem to bother them all that much though, as they generally prefer to use their spines to dig into and effectively embed themselves into rocks on cave walls and ceilings, and even soft dirt if necessary. This not only provides them a staunch defensive position that can make it hard to dislodge them, but it also acts as a perfect way for them to feed, using acids in their body to dissolve rock as mentioned before, to suck up the minerals and nutrients they need to survive. However, while they might seem relatively immobile, If threatened, these creatures can use internal pressure pockets at the base of their spines to launch them viciously at others in the form of a pin missile attack, to ward off those that might try to get too close to them. As the target is dealing with the spines now stuck into them, these plants can take the opportunity to then roll away to safety, or at least to a hiding place where they can remain until they know for certain the coast is clear.
They are not very accurate with this attack initially though, due to their limited eyesight, but enough practice with it can make them a formidable target to have to face in any confrontation.
While these creatures generally do not feed on other plants, they are known to absorb specific enzymes from cave moss in order to help them accelerate and amplify the growth of their spines, making it an essential dietary supplement for them as they bide their time until they finally have enough stored energy to grow to their full adult size and evolve into Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn, while not exactly that much faster than their pre-evolved form, are indeed far more mobile as a result of the 3 barbed thorn pods that are attached to their large bodies. These pods serve a multitude of purposes, as they not only act as their primary way of moving around, using the barbs to stab into soil and rocks in order to move around floors, walls, and even ceilings, but also serve as the pods in which their seeds are stored and act as their tool for gathering sustenance as they scrape them across rocks and use acid to dissolve it, sucking the material up the tips of their barbs. They further serve as sensory feelers used to analyze the soil and rock composition around them to determine if it has the essential minerals they need to grow and survive, and perhaps most notably as weapons of destruction used to smash and bludgeon others into submission, something that is duly represented in their acquisition of the Power Whip attack immediately after evolving. These creatures tend to hang from cave ceilings if possible, shooting their barbs at potential threats to their life as they keep themselves anchored far out of place of direct attack. As with Ferroseed, getting too close to them is a bad idea because of the barbs that cover their body, but with Ferrothorn, the threat is much larger as they can safely rest on the ground if needed to attack with their feelers all at once. The power they have behind these blows is enough to smash through boulders with ease, and they in turn have no trouble breaking through the thick hides of other Pokémon, with metallic armor being the only thing that cannot easily be penetrated by their crushing blows. While they can readily obliterate just about anything that gets in their way, it is at least comforting to note that Ferrothorn are usually not outwardly aggressive and can be approached carefully so long as they are given no reason to be concerned and their personal space is not violated. Still, this is a risky proposition, and keeping one's distance from them is usually a good idea in most cases, even if they might seem like they are high above you, only for a thorn pod to reach down far enough to smack you viciously for getting too close.
They might not have much to offer in the way of speed in battle, but the members of the Ferroseed family are powerful plants that can take more than a few hits and still end up unfazed enough to readily retaliate in kind. With the highest base defense stat out of all grass-type Pokemon, tied with Kartana, the wait for evolution might be a bit more than others given their limited offensive power starting out, but it can be more than worth it to see these defensive plants storm the battlefield and deliver a vicious and terrifying beatdown.
Just do yourself a favor and make sure to play it cool when near these thorny menaces. They might not be able to do much other than fire barbs at you from afar, but get within reach and these monsters will gladly close the distance and reduce you to mulch, fit for the growth and development of many more of their kind. Thank you all for watching this video. It is always an honor to be able to speak with you all on the subject of Pokemon in a way that brings me great joy and happiness in my work. If you would like to keep tabs on past and future work, click that subscribe button, check out my work on DeviantArt, and don't be shy about following me on Twitter, where you can find pertinent announcements on upcoming work before it is officially posted. Links to both can be found in the video description. If you would like to support my work and help Miguel and I continue to produce more content for you and improve upon our presentation, please visit us at my Patreon page, which you can also find a link to in the video description.
Yeah, no.
With that, I thank you for watching and I wish you well.